In today's video, I want to highlight a couple of games that Activision has delisted from the PlayStation Store, and this is adding upon a litany of other titles that have been delisted by Activision. I want to run you guys through the entirety of the 14 games that have been removed from the PlayStation Store, and this is because the licensing agreements have expired. We've seen this in the past, but it's a bummer because now some of these games can't be bought on the PlayStation Store anymore. Some of these games didn't even have a physical release, so they are gone forever. Sure, not all of these games were great, however, it was nice to have the option to buy them on sale or whatever the case may be, but for some of them, you'll never be able to play them on the PlayStation 4 if you don't already own them. Outside of that, we've also got the release date for a very interesting upcoming PlayStation 4 title in Remnant from the Ashes. I want to take you guys through that. More on that at the end of this video. First up, let's highlight all of these games that have been removed by Activision. This is adding upon a litany of other games that have been removed from the PlayStation Store from Activision. Here's the totality of everything that's been removed. Angry Birds Star Wars, Chivalry Medieval Warfare, Deadpool, which is a gigantic bummer. I always went to bat for that game, and that game was absolutely hilarious. Being a big fan of Deadpool, being a fan of the Deadpool humor, that game, while not a perfect action title, it had some great humor, and I thought it did Deadpool the character a lot of justice. Unfortunately, you can't get that digitally anymore, but there is a physical copy of the game available. It does go for a relatively hefty price, but nonetheless, at least you can still play it on the PlayStation 4, so it's got that going for it, unlike a lot of these other games. Ghostbusters has been removed. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 have been removed. That's a bummer. Those games also released at obscene prices on the PlayStation Store. I believe in the ballpark of $50. My memory's a bit foggy, but when they went on sale and when they were around the $10 to $15 range, hey, they were good pickups at that point. Unfortunately, these games are ones that didn't have a physical release, and now they're gone from the PlayStation 4 forever. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan was removed. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is actually not a horrible game, obviously not at the level of Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 was an alright game. The Legend of Korra was removed. Legend of Korra was a pretty bad game. It was actually done by Platinum Games, and I would have expected more out of that title, but that was just a really bad rush job. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 was removed. Transformers Devastation was removed. That sucks. That game's actually really great. Transformers Fall of Cybertron has been removed. Transformers Rise of the Darkspark has been removed, and White Knight has been removed. There are some quality games in there, again, from Deadpool, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 isn't bad, and Transformers Devastation being removed. Those specifically, it's a really big bummer that they are removed. And again, that's on top of LEGO The Lord of the Rings as well as LEGO The Hobbit being removed. And also outside of those 14 games that were pulled by Activision, LEGO The Lord of the Rings and LEGO The Hobbit were also removed by Warner Brothers pretty recently. And that's really unfortunate. As we are moving into the age of digital gaming, of course, licensing issues is going to be a little bit of a problem. We've seen this on PC before, which is all around a digital platform. Games like Alan Wake have been removed from Steam. Now that game has returned. However, for a little bit, that game wasn't viable on Steam, and if you see this more and more in gaming, man, that's a really big bummer. However, with the bigger games worth re-upping on the licensing issues, and if those do expire, obviously they will remain on the PlayStation Store, but as we move into the digital age, that is something to keep an eye on. With physical games, of course, they'll always be in circulation, even if you do have to buy a used copy for a digital game. Once it's pulled from the PlayStation Store, unless licensing issues are worked out, unless something gets worked out, man, it's pretty much gone for good. Now, of course, if you did buy any of these games on the PlayStation Store, the game is still going to be in your library. You're going to be able to delete the game, re-download it. That's not going to be a problem, but for those of you that want to buy the game for the first time, that's when the issues arise. Alright, so moving on from that, Remnant from the Ashes is a brand new game hitting the PlayStation 4, and it's coming August 20th, and it's coming from publisher Perfect World Entertainment and developer Gunfire Games. Interestingly enough, Gunfire Games most recently did Darksiders 3, and while that game had its fair share of issues, I would say overall it was a pretty good game, and commercially it was a success, because we recently found out that the game broke even for THQ Nordic, and now it's completely returning a profit on them, so good for Gunfire Games and THQ Nordic on that. However, Remnant from the Ashes is a brand new game where interdimensional beings known as the Root have decimated humanity, leaving the world ravaged by the invasion. As a survivor seeking to reclaim Earth from monsters, players must venture beyond the World Stone, a relic enabling travel between worlds. Traverse bizarre and beautiful, dynamically generated environments filled with unpredictable enemies, potential allies, and untold secrets. Each journey beyond humanity's stronghold will challenge players at every turn, forcing them to learn through victory and defeat as they amass an arsenal of weapons, armor, and mods to create the ultimate survivor. Game features include these: intense combat. The many foes of Remnant from the Ashes each possess their own set of attacks and tactics. Playstyle is defined by combining powerful firearms, melee weapons, and mods that imbue survivors with the tools to rise against any challenge. You'll have flexible gear-based progression. Every journey beyond the stronghold on Earth is an opportunity to slay powerful bosses and gather valuable resources that will upgrade characters, allowing allowing players to venture confidently into even more dangerous environments. The game also has a mysterious story. The rude invasion of Earth had enormous consequences for our world and others. After years of decimating humanity, its remains begin to strike back. A tower looming above player strongholds may hold the answer, but they must travel through the world stone to unknown worlds for the answers. It also says endless challenges await, randomized worlds, rewards, and enemy combinations offer an endless combination of challenges with each playthrough. So you've got that procedurally generated element in the game as well. Utilizing knowledge gained through each death is the surest way to achieve victory. Gives me some Souls vibes from that as well. A lot of interesting mechanics being introduced in the game. Also has epic bosses and enemies. Each of Remnant from the Ashes 4 distinct worlds is filled with dozens of deadly denizens, totaling over 100 unique enemy types. Surviving the hordes leads players to one of the game's 20 plus world bosses, each requiring their own tactics in order to defeat them and obtain one of their unique rewards. And best of all, you've got host-based co-op in the game as well. Players can teleport beyond the world stone solo for a greater challenge or alongside up to 2 other survivors to even the odds and increase chances of survival. A 3-player co-op game is pretty interesting. We don't see that often in gaming, but nonetheless, Remnant from the Ashes looks to be a pretty interesting game, and it's hitting the PlayStation 4 on August 20th. Will also be coming to PC and Xbox One. And again, considering it's coming from Gunfire Games, they're starting to build a pretty interesting library of titles they've worked on. Outside of Darksiders 3, they also did From the Other Suns, which was a PC release, an action-adventure VR title. They worked on Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. They've worked on a couple of other pretty interesting VR titles, and Remnant from the Ashes looks to be a pretty compelling game coming directly from them. We'll see how it turns out again on August 20th. And lastly, the action RPG being published by Spike Chunsoft and Crystar has an official release date of August 27th, and that's a pretty interesting date, as that is a heavy day for new game releases. And I think as far as the fall season goes, people are gonna look at that day as when the fall really kicks off in terms of the big game releases. Not necessarily fall kicks off on September 21st, but you get the idea. And if you're unaware of what Crystar is, again, it's a Spike Chunsoft published action RPG, and it touts that you fight through your tears in an action RPG, combat the souls of the dead as you explore the afterworld of the Purgatory. You'll play as 4 different characters and unlock their memories to learn the truth behind their stories and secrets. Power through grief, the battle system includes an otherworldly being who fights alongside you. Gather your grief and endure torments to summon your guardian. Tears in the game give you strength, and crying will help you take down monsters and empower your equipment. In Crystar, tears aren't a sign of weakness, but of strength. Crystar drops August 27th, and August 27th is the same day that Shenmue 3 as well as Control are released. So none of those games I would say are super big budget games. Shenmue 3, you can definitely make the argument that it's a reasonable release. I mean, it is the latest game in one of the most iconic franchises ever, but Control is going really under the radar, and Crystar isn't this gigantic game. However, very interesting games all coming on August 27th. And probably after that, you'll see the game releases really start to pick up week after week, but we're still a long ways from that. I mean, we're talking about game releases 5 months from now. Who knows what could happen? A delay could happen here and there, and everything could go up ablaze, but Crystar does look to be headed to the PlayStation 4 on August 27th, and it looks like a rather interesting Japanese action RPG. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, unfortunately, a lot of games have been delisted from the PlayStation Store, a lot of them being of high quality, with titles like Transformers Devastation, Transformers Fall of Cybertron, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, Deadpool, even Chivalry Medieval Warfare. It's a real big bummer to see those games being removed from the PlayStation Store, and hopefully this doesn't persist with other major titles. When it comes to games with these licensing issues, usually you are given a little bit of a heads up, but with a lot of these games, it's really not highlighted much, and they do retain their full price. So are you really incentivized on dropping, say, $50, $60 on The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Obviously, nobody's gonna do that, even if the game's gonna get delisted. But then after it's delisted, it's gone forever, so really, it's a catch-22 in terms of how you want to perceive that. Again, with a lot of these games, they are available in the physical form, but usually when they're delisted, the physical price also shoots up. And I believe with the licensing issues, more copies of the game can't be printed either and sold new, so you only have the copies in circulation currently. So that's inherently a problem too, but nonetheless, it is what it is, and we really just have to deal with it. But on the more positive side of things, Remnant from the Ashes looks to be a pretty interesting game, and it's hitting PS4, Xbox One, and PC on August 20th. We'll keep you guys posted about that. And Crystar has had its official release date revealed. That'll be coming August 27th. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.